Hello everyone, welcome back to ladensercrotchets. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching, liking and commenting on the videos. If you're new to this channel, my name is Liz. Welcome to the family of ladensercrotchets. Kindly subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a tutorial, because I guarantee you you're going to love them. In this one, we're going to make this awesome dress that is an extension of a skirt that I made a year ago. I'm going to leave a link in the description box if you want to watch the skirts tutorial. So let's jump right into this one. I'll be using a medium weight yarn for this tutorial. The Winter King is what I'm using. You can substitute this with any medium weight yarn of your choice. I'll then use a 4mm crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors and a measuring tape. We begin with the top part, and to work this, we're going to work two identical pieces. Two that look like this one. I've already worked one, so we're going to work the second one. And to do that, you're going to get your bust measurement and divide it by 4. So in this case, mine is 36. After dividing by 4, I'm working 9 inches when slightly stretched. So the chain that my beginning chain will be 9 inches. As you can see, when I stretch this out, it goes to 9 inches. And for this one, I did a total of 26 chains. So I'll get my yarn and begin with a chain of 26. So start with a slip knot. And then chain 26. After the 26 chains, you're going to hold the 26th chain and chain one more. Then into that stitch that you're holding, put your hook through, grab a loop and pull through, and work a single crochet into that first stitch. Into the next stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. So for a double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook into the chain, grab a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. The next stitch is going to be a single crochet. So put your hook through the chain, grab a loop. You'll have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the 2. The next one is going to be a double crochet, then followed by a single crochet, a double crochet, and a single crochet. And you're going to alternate like this until you have the last stitch, which is going to be a double crochet. Whatever chain you're making should be a multiple of 2, so that keep alternating between a single crochet and a double crochet till you get to the end. Make sure that your last stitch is a double crochet, and like I mentioned, the only way to ensure that is by ensuring that you have an even number of chains. At the end, I have my last double crochet, so we're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 2. And we always begin with a single crochet and end with a double crochet. So on top of the previous double crochet, insert a single crochet. The next was a single crochet, so we place a double crochet there, a single crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next, single crochet, then double crochet, followed by a single crochet, and then a double crochet. And we're going to alternate like this. It's a very simple stitch. Just ensure that you have a single crochet followed by a double crochet. Wherever there was a double crochet in the previous row, there's going to be a single crochet. Wherever there was a single crochet, there's going to be a double crochet. Make sure that your first stitch is a single crochet and your last stitch is a double crochet. So I've just done a single crochet, and right here is where we insert the last double crochet. That stitch is not very visible, but make sure that you don't forget it. So into that very first stitch, place a double crochet to complete row 2. That is what we have. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. Begin with a single crochet. Into the next stitch, double crochet. The next stitch is a single, then a double. And we're just going to repeat this row until you have, so this is 9 inches. You should work 9 inches going this way. If yours was 10, you should work 10 and 10. So it's going to be a square. You're making a square. I'm going to work a total of, let me check how many rows I did to get to my 9 inches. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I did a total of 20 rows to get me to 9 by 9. So that means if you're working 10 inches, it's going to be more than 20 rows. If you're working less than 9 inches, it means that they're going to be less than 20 rows. So keep working until you have a length that is equals to a quarter of your bust, or the same length as whatever starting chain you have. Begin row 4 in the first stitch with a single crochet, followed by a double crochet, a single crochet into the next stitch, a double crochet into the next, a single into the next, and keep going. I'm going to work my 20 rows, and I'll meet you back here once I'm done with the 20. So go on, work your rows, and let's meet once you have that square. I'm done with the 10 rows, and let's determine whether we have 9 inches right now. So we already measured this one, it's at 9. We need to measure this part when it's stretched, and as you can see, it stretches up to 9 inches. So from row 11, I'm going to start working a reduction. I'll start by chaining 1 and turn. To reduce, we skip the first stitch, then skip the second, and then insert the hook into the third stitch and work a single crochet right there. We are only going to reduce on this one side, the other side remains. We continue going up with the other side while we slant on this side. So this is the effect that we want to get. We are reducing on this side from this point, and this other part remains straight, as you can see. So continue working this side straight as we reduce this. We reduce in row 11. Yours could be 13. It depends with the length that you're working. So I've reduced in row 11 by skipping the first and the second stitch and working a single crochet into the third stitch. Then all the other stitches we just alternate, a double crochet into the next, a single, so that's the single. So now I'm working a double crochet, then a single crochet, a double crochet, repeat to the end of row 11. At the end of row 11, we are working in all stitches. No reduction is happening on this side. So we finish in the last stitch with a double crochet, chain 1 and turn. In row 12, after reducing, I had my first stitches were 26. I've reduced 2, I'm at 24 right now. And in row 12, I'm going to work 24 stitches. So there's no reduction in row 12. Just a single stitch into every stitch, no reduction at the end. So I'm coming to the end of row 12. I have a single crochet into the second last stitch. This is the first stitch, that is, or the last stitch of this row, and I'm going to yarn over. Instead of putting my hook through this stitch, I'll go to this part right here and place my last double crochet right there. We are not reducing, but instead of working right here, we work at the end, just so we can have a perfectly slanting part. Now chain 1 and turn to begin row 13, and when you're coming from this side, we reduce, and then when you're coming back, no reduction. Now we're going to skip the first stitch, skip the second into the third one, work a single crochet for that first reduction in row 13, then a double crochet into the next stitch, a single crochet, double crochet, and then work till the end. At the end, no reduction. I'm at the end of row 13, and I'm just going to work my last double crochet, chain 1 and turn to begin row 14. When you're going back to this side, we won't reduce. So right now, after reducing, I'm at 22 stitches, so I'll work 22 to this end. Just 1 stitch into every stitch. Remember, at these ends, when you get to this point, this is the second last stitch. This is supposed to be the last stitch, but we are yarning over and working at this point, the last stitch right there, a double crochet, then chain 1 and turn. When you come in from this slanty side, we reduce. So skip 1, skip 2 into the third one, single crochet. And we're going to keep repeating this until we reduce and remain with only 2 stitches. So let me show you. So this is the first piece. We're going to do the same thing with the second piece. I'm going to keep reducing all the way till I get here. So remember, when you reduce while coming to this side, when you're coming back, no reduction. When you're going to this side, you reduce. When you're coming back, no reduction. Keep reducing till you have 2 stitches remaining, and I'll meet you there. At this point, I have 4 stitches remaining. So remember, we're not working here, but in this last stitch there, chain 1 and turn. After turning, we're going to count the first, the second into the third stitch. We are counting this first, second, third, single crochet into the third. That is our first stitch, and double crochet into the last stitch. That is our second stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, and you're going to need to cut your yarn at this point, but then I'll leave a long tail because I'll be joining the 2 pieces together at that point. So cut your yarn, not so long, just long enough. That is, it's quite long, but it's okay that way. Then you're going to get your other piece. You're going to hold this piece like this way, then get the other piece and hold it that way. So we are joining the 2 pieces at this point, as you can see. Then these 2 ends are going to come together like this. As you can see, we have 1 piece facing in this direction and the other piece in this direction. So we're going to need to join at this point, and then we're going to bring these 2 ends like this and join. So this is the tail that I was leaving for joining. I'll just put my hook right there, or I can just tie a knot right here. By the way, I'll just tie a knot, then I'll be working over the tails that will remain. So it's easier to tie a knot. I'm just tying twice. Then I'll not need such a long tail. I'll just cut it off. So this part is what goes to the back part of the top, and this, when I turn it to this side, I'll be facing my front. So just turn your work like this. We reattach the yarn at this point. As you can see, I had tried something different, but it didn't work, so I had to pull it out, and I'm redoing that part. That's why my stitches are a bit stretched, because I had already done something else on it. So beginning with this part, I'll put my yarn through, then chain 1, and now I'm going to be placing a single crochet onto each of the stitches on this part all the way to this part. I'm working over my tails just to ensure that they are hidden, and work 1 single crochet into every stitch. Once you get to the corner stitch, I'm going to place 3 single crochets into that same stitch. So into this stitch, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to turn to this part, work again, single crochets up to the corner stitch. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to work a single crochet into the first gap, a single crochet into the next gap. Then the gap that follows, I'll skip it, then work into the 4th gap. 1, and another single crochet into the next gap. Then skip the 3rd, then work 1, and another single crochet into the next. Skip the one that follows, do a single crochet into the next, and into the next one. Then skip 1 and 2, skip 1, 2, skip 1 and 2, skip 1, 2, skip this, then 1 and 2. So right now I'm supposed to skip this stitch and work into the corner stitch. So skip into the corner stitch, place 3 single crochets, 3, turn over to this side. So be careful that your work does not, you don't work on the wrong side. Make sure that you're working on the right part on both sides of the top. Now at this point, we're going to go to the next gap, the gap that follows, and do a single crochet, then a single crochet into the next gap. Then we're going to skip the one that follows, work 2 single crochets into the next 2 gaps, then skip the 3rd, 1 and 2, skip 1. So keep working like this till you get to this point, and then we continue on to the other part. At this corner, make sure that you're working on the right side. I'm working on the curved part, the one that looks curvy. So I've already worked on this side, so I want to work on the other part, on the other curvy side, on this other part of the top. So I'm at this corner, I'll work a single crochet there. Then make sure that you get the tails so that you work over them, and skip over to the other side and do a single crochet. Then I'm going to do another single crochet into that same gap, skip over to the next one, do a single crochet, then skip this one, go into the next gap with a single crochet, and a single crochet into that same gap. So these gaps are a bit wide. Then skip the next one, go into the next one with a single crochet into the next and on the same gap. Then skip over to the next one, single crochet into the next and into the next. So just place single crochets like we've been doing till you get to the end, to the corner part. At the corner, place 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to turn over to the other side, to this part. Now work a single crochet into the next gap and a single crochet into the one that follows. Skip the next one, 2 single crochets into the next 2 gaps. Skip the next 1, 2, skip 1, 2. At the corner, we're going to place 3 single crochets into the same stitch, and that will turn us over to this side. And here we have the stitches that we began with. So into every stitch, place 1 single crochet. So that's the last part, and this is what we have. I've finished the edging to this corner and cut off the yarn. Now I'm just going to turn this to the wrong side and then bring this part up like this. Just fold it like that. This is the back part, so I'm folding this side this way, then I'll fold the other side the other way, so that these two meet at that point, this point right here. As you can see, our top is shaping up. We're going to have a joining at this point, and so I'm going to join right here. I'll just get a piece of yarn and join at this point. Just tie a knot so that I know how my top should look like. And there is our top. Now these are the parts where we're going to work the straps for the top at this point and at this other point. I'll double my strands to do that. So I've doubled my strands. Now I'll just get one corner of the top at this point, put the hook through and grab the 2 strands of the yarn through like that. Then I'll just start chaining, and I'll make a chain of 100 chains. Okay, so chain 1, then I'll grab these tails, bring them up on my hook, then chain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So by so doing, I've hidden the tails. I'll be cutting off the remaining part. 15, 16. So I'll go on up to 100. Once I get to 100, I'll cut off the yarn and then reattach on this other corner and do another strap. I have my two straps in place. And what I do at the end is just tie a knot. Make sure that the knot is very close to the stitches. Tighten it. Then grab the pair of scissors and cut it off like that. Then whatever we had on this part, the tails that remain, trim them off. And there we have the top part of our dress ready. You can rock this top this way, or you can continue into a dress. Well, we need to join at this point, so what I do is I turn it like that, grab my hook and yarn, put your hook through on one side and put it through to the other side. So you're putting the hook through and through to the other corner, and grab your yarn. Grab the yarn and pull it through both corners, then chain 1. Next, you turn your work. Before then we're going to slip stitch onto the next stitch of the other side. Slip stitch once, and then slip stitch again, and chain 2, turn your work to the other side. Then you're going to count 1, and into the next stitch do a slip stitch, then do a slip stitch onto the next one, and chain 4, turn your work. We had slip stitched onto this part, so we're going to count 1, and into the second one do a slip stitch again once, and then slip stitch for the second time, then chain 6, turn your work, count 1 and 2, and into that second one slip stitch, then slip stitch 2 times again, 1 and 2, then chain 8, turn your work, count 1 and 2 into that second one, slip stitch, then slip stitch 2 times, 1 and 2, then chain 10, turn your work, count 1 and 2, then you're going to slip stitch 1, 2, then chain 12. Turn your work. Then you're going to count 1 and into the second one, slip stitch, again slip stitch 2 times again, 1 and 2, then chain 14, turn to the other side, count 2 stitches, 1 and 2, slip stitch into that second one, then slip stitch 2 times again, 1 and 2. Next we're going to count to chain 16, turn to the other side, then count 2 stitches, 1 and slip stitch into the second one, slip stitch 2 times, 1 and 2, chain 18, turn to the other side, then 1 and 2, slip stitch. So you're going to go like this until you've worked the chains on this part and it's fully covered. So if this part of your top is longer, you're going to have more chains. If it is shorter, you're going to have less chains. So now I have slip stitch 1, then slip stitch twice, and now I'm going to chain 20. Then turn to the other side. When we turn to the other side, we're going to count 1 and 2, slip stitch there. So on this side I only have 1 stitch remaining, on the other side I have 2, so I'm just going to slip stitch once on this side, then I'll chain 22. Turn to the other side, and now on this side I'll do the slip stitch onto the last stitch at the corner, right here, to the slip stitch, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Fasten. So now this is what we have. And at this point, the top part is completely done. We're going to move on and create the skirt part of the dress. And then you're going to measure this part, and we're measuring 3 inches from this corner right here. Measure 3 inches and mark that point with a stitch marker. Then I'm going to count the number of stitches. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then I'll also count 10 stitches from this corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then I'll just confirm to make sure that it's the same number of stitches from this part. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then on this side it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, it's the same number of stitches. So I'm going to be working this front part first. And to do that, I'll turn my work like this. Then I'll reattach the yarn at this first stitch marker. Pull out the stitch marker and put the hook through. Grab a loop, grab your yarn and pull it through. Then chain 1. Go back into that stitch with a single crochet. Into the next stitch, yarn over and do a double crochet. So, like so. The next stitch is a single crochet. The next one will be a double crochet. Then a single crochet, followed by a double crochet into the next. Now we are working on the chain right here. When you reach the chain, you're going to place 1 stitch into each of the chains. So double crochet right there. Work onto the next chain and you're going to place a single crochet. We're just alternating the same way we've been doing at the top. Next, you do a double crochet onto the next chain, onto the chain that follows, a single crochet. Now I'm done with the chains, so I'll move on to the other side. And because I just done a double crochet, I'll do a single crochet, then a double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, and my last stitch should be a double crochet, and therefore I'll do 2 stitches into this stitch mark. So I have a double crochet, so I'll do a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. Then chain 1 and turn to begin row 2 of the front part of the dress. We begin with a single crochet. Next stitch will be a double crochet. The next one should be a single crochet, a double crochet next, single, double, and we're just alternating between a single crochet and a double crochet till we get to the end of row 2. in the last stitch you're going to have a double crochet, then you're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. Again, to work row 3 you just work a single crochet, a double crochet, a single crochet next, and a double crochet next, and you're going to work like this, just repeating that row until you have the full length of the dress that you want. I went on to make 19 inches, that is from the waist all the way down, and we're going to confirm that. So measuring from here up to that point, that's 19 inches, and I have the full length of my dress, or the skirt part, that is. So now we're going to do we're going to do an edging on this side, then we're going to do another on the other side. So let's do that. After you're done with the last stitch, which is a double crochet, you chain 1. Now we are working on the sides and we're working on the gaps. We have this first gap, the first, the second, the third, the fourth, all the way. Now we're working with single crochets. Into that first gap where there is the double crochet, we place a single crochet, then place a single crochet into the next gap, then the next one we skip this one, go into the next one, do a single crochet and a second single crochet into the next gap. Then we skip the next one, single crochet and another single crochet next, skip the next gap, 2 single crochets into the next 2 gaps, then skip, and we repeat this till we get to the waist part right here. I just worked the last single crochet into the last gap, and now we're going to slip stitch onto the top part of the dress right here. Do a slip stitch onto the next stitch and a slip stitch onto the next one. So you slip stitch twice and turn without chaining. We begin on top of the last single crochet that we did, so skip this slip stitch and work a single crochet onto that last single crochet we did. Do a single crochet, then chain 2, skip 2 stitches and do 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we are creating gaps where the loops are going to go into. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, do 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Chain 2, skip 2, 5 single crochets, chain 2, skip 2, another 5 single crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, then 5 single crochets. Now on this part where we are creating the loops or the gaps, you can work them however you feel will be okay for you. Chain 2, skip 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Chain 2, chain 2, skip 2. We have to, actually it's 1 stitch, so into the last stitch, single crochet right there, no, there's one last one, this, and then there's the last one. So we're going to have, I have 2 single crochets at the end. Yours might be different. You could have 3 at the end, you could have 4 or 5. It depends with the number of stitches that you're going to have right here. It doesn't have to be completely the same as mine. You can twist the gaps to fit your project. Now chain 1 and turn. Begin with a single crochet into the first single crochet into the second one. Where we have a gap, we're going to place 2 single crochets inside the gap. On top of the single crochets, we place 1 single crochet onto each of the single crochets. Inside the gaps, 2 single crochets, a single crochet on top of all the single crochets, and we're going to repeat this to the end. Once we get to the end, we'll slip stitch onto the next row on the top part, and that will be the end of this side, the end of the edging on this side. So I'm in the last gap, so place 2 single crochets there, a single crochet into the last stitch, then slip stitch onto the next stitch on the top part, slip stitch, chain 1, and cut off the yarn at that point. We are done with that edging. Cut off, pull through, and fasten. Now when we were doing the edging on that side, we started from the bottom. So in order to ensure that this stitch, the ones that are on the inside, are the same on this other side, we begin from the top part right here. So instead of beginning from the bottom on the other side, we begin from the top. So turn your work like this. Grab the yarn, make a slip knot, get the top part, and this next stitch, the stitch after this point, slip stitch there to reconnect the yarn. Like that, and we start working from the first gap right here into this gap, place a single crochet, place a single crochet into the next gap, then skip the third. 1 and 2, skip the third, 1 and 2, then skip 1 and 2. I'm working over my tail. I like working over the tails to ensure that I do not have too many ends to weave in at the end. So skip 1 and 2, and we're going to repeat this edging exactly as we've done the other one. So I'll meet you once I'm done with the edging on this other side. Except because on this side I ended with 2 single crochets, when I'm creating the gaps, I'll start with the first single crochet, then the second, and then the gap. So do your edging on this side, and let's meet once we are done. I'm done with the edging on that other side, and I've already cut off the yarn, as you can see. So both of my sides are done. Now we need to work the back part, and in order to do that we need to get the width of the front panel. So measure it while stretching. While not stretched, mine is at 10 inches. Then when I give this a bit of a stretch, it should get to around 14. Let's say 14, because this stitch is really stretchy. So that's 14. We're going to do some calculations here. So my front panel is 14 inches. The total hips, the total size of hips that I'm working is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'll take 42 minus 14, and this gives me 12, 8, 28. So 28 is whatever is remaining in order to get to 42. Now we need some space for the gaps. So that will be 4 inches on each of the sides. And so 4 inches on one side, 4 inches on the other one. So that will be 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you take whatever you've got in here, which is 28, minus the 8, gives you 20. And 20 inches should be the width of my back panel when it is stretched. So do the calculation, and let's get to the back part of the dress. I'm done with the edging on that other side, and I've already cut off the yarn, as you can see. So both of my sides are done. Now we need to work the back part, and in order to do that we need to get the width of the front panel. So measure it while stretching. While not stretched, mine is at 10 inches. Then when I give this a bit of a stretch, it should get to around 14. Let's say 14, because this stitch is really stretchy. So that's 14. We're going to do some calculations here. So my front panel is 14 inches. The total hips, the total size of hips that I'm working is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'll take 42 minus 14, and this gives me 12, 8, 28. So 28 is whatever is remaining in order to get to 42. Now we need some space for the gaps. So that will be 4 inches on each of the sides. And so 4 inches on one side, 4 inches on the other one. So that will be 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you take whatever you've got in here, which is 28, minus the 8, gives you 20. And 20 inches should be the width of my back panel when it is stretched. So do the calculation, and let's get to the back part of the dress. I'm done with the edging on that other side, and I've already cut off the yarn, as you can see. So both of my sides are done. Now we need to work the back part, and in order to do that we need to get the width of the front panel. So measure it while stretching. While not stretched, mine is at 10 inches. Then when I give this a bit of a stretch, it should get to around 14. Let's say 14, because this stitch is really stretchy. So that's 14. We're going to do some calculations here. So my front panel is 14 inches. The total hips, the total size of hips that I'm working is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'll take 42 minus 14, and this gives me 12, 8, 28. So 28 is whatever is remaining in order to get to 42. Now we need some space for the gaps. So that will be 4 inches on each of the sides. And so 4 inches on one side, 4 inches on the other one. So that will be 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you take whatever you've got in here, which is 28, minus the 8, gives you 20. And 20 inches should be the width of my back panel when it is stretched. So do the calculation, and let's get to the back part of the dress. I'm done with the edging on that other side, and I've already cut off the yarn, as you can see. So both of my sides are done. Now we need to work the back part, and in order to do that we need to get the width of the front panel. So measure it while stretching. While not stretched, mine is at 10 inches. Then when I give this a bit of a stretch, it should get to around 14. Let's say 14, because this stitch is really stretchy. So that's 14. We're going to do some calculations here. So my front panel is 14 inches. The total hips, the total size of hips that I'm working is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'll take 42 minus 14, and this gives me 12, 8, 28. So 28 is whatever is remaining in order to get to 42. Now we need some space for the gaps. So that will be 4 inches on each of the sides. And so 4 inches on one side, 4 inches on the other one. So that will be 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you take whatever you've got in here, which is 28, minus the 8, gives you 20. And 20 inches should be the width of my back panel when it is stretched. So do the calculation, and let's get to the back part of the dress. I'm done with the edging on that other side, and I've already cut off the yarn, as you can see. So both of my sides are done. Now we need to work the back part, and in order to do that we need to get the width of the front panel. So measure it while stretching. While not stretched, mine is at 10 inches. Then when I give this a bit of a stretch, it should get to around 14. Let's say 14, because this stitch is really stretchy. So that's 14. We're going to do some calculations here. So my front panel is 14 inches. The total hips, the total size of hips that I'm working is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'll take 42 minus 14, and this gives me 12, 8, 28. So 28 is whatever is remaining in order to get to 42. Now we need some space for the gaps. So that will be 4 inches on each of the sides. And so 4 inches on one side, 4 inches on the other one. So that will be 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you take whatever you've got in here, which is 28, minus the 8, gives you 20. And 20 inches should be the width of my back panel when it is stretched. So do the calculation, and let's get to the back part of the dress. I'm done with the edging on that other side, and I've already cut off the yarn, as you can see. So both of my sides are done. Now we need to work the back part, and in order to do that we need to get the width of the front panel. So measure it while stretching. While not stretched, mine is at 10 inches. Then when I give this a bit of a stretch, it should get to around 14. Let's say 14, because this stitch is really stretchy. So that's 14. We're going to do some calculations here. So my front panel is 14 inches. The total hips, the total size of hips that I'm working is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'll take 42 minus 14, and this gives me 12, 8, 28. So 28 is whatever is remaining in order to get to 42. Now we need some space for the gaps. So that will be 4 inches on each of the sides. And so 4 inches on one side, 4 inches on the other one. So that will be 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you take whatever you've got in here, which is 28, minus the 8, gives you 20. And 20 inches should be the width of my back panel when it is stretched. So do the calculation, and let's get to the back part of the dress. I'm done with the edging on that other side, and I've already cut off the yarn, as you can see. So both of my sides are done. Now we need to work the back part, and in order to do that we need to get the width of the front panel. So measure it while stretching. While not stretched, mine is at 10 inches. Then when I give this a bit of a stretch, it should get to around 14. Let's say 14, because this stitch is really stretchy. So that's 14. We're going to do some calculations here. So my front panel is 14 inches. The total hips, the total size of hips that I'm working is 42. So what I'm going to do is I'll take 42 minus 14, and this gives me 12, 8, 28. So 28 is whatever is remaining in order to get to 42. Now we need some space for the gaps. So that will be 4 inches on each of the sides. And so 4 inches on one side, 4 inches on the other one. So that will be 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you take whatever you've got in here, which is 28, minus the 8, gives you 20. And 20 inches should be the width of my back panel when it is stretched. So do the calculation, and let's get to the back part of the dress. Now we need to measure whatever we have right here. So hold your top like this. Make sure these two ends are together. Like that. Get your measuring tape and measure whatever you have right here. When it is stretched, that is, you need to stretch it. And because we folded it into two, we're going to multiply by 2, of course. So without stretching, it's at 10 inches. When I stretch, it goes to 11. 11 times 2, that's 11 times 2, that's what? 22. 22, and I want to work 20. So that means I'm going to subtract 2 inches on both sides. So what I do is I measure right here, 2 inches from this point, and I just count the number of stitches. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'll turn my work like this. So I've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Into the 6th stitch, that is where I'm going to reattach my yarn in order to work the back part. Now we need to measure whatever we have right here. So hold your top like this. Make sure these two ends are together. Like that. Get your measuring tape and measure whatever you have right here. When it is stretched, that is, you need to stretch it. And because we folded it into 2, we're going to multiply by 2, of course. So without stretching, it's at 10 inches. When I stretch, it goes to 11. 11 times 2, that's 11 times 2, that's what? 22. So after stretching this, I'm getting 22, and I want to work the back panel width should be 20. And remember, there's an allowance on each side of 4 inches. So what you're going to do is measure 4 inches from one corner right here. And I'm going to do that while stretching a little bit. It's at this point. So I'll count the number of stitches up to that point where I'm holding. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is the 8th stitch. So you count 8 stitches and put your hook into the 8th stitch. Turn your work like this. Grab your yarn and put it through that. Then you're going to chain 1 and go into that stitch with a single crochet, followed by a double crochet. We're going to alternate like we've been alternating. A single crochet next. I'm working over the tail to hide it. And next we're going to have a double crochet, a single crochet next, double crochet, single crochet, and then double crochet, and keep going. You're going to work all the way around the back part until you have 8 stitches remaining on the other side. So we counted 8 on this side. You're going to count 8 on the other side, and I'll meet you there. The 8 stitches is standard for everyone because we are all leaving an allowance of 4 inches on each side. So let me confirm. 1, this is not the first, it's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'll work up to this point. That's a single crochet. I should have a double crochet. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A double crochet should be the last one. Actually, on this side I have 7 stitches because I put my hook through the 8th. On this side I'll have 8 stitches, and that there's no problem because one stitch won't make much difference, but you need to make sure that your last stitch is a double crochet. So if I work on this is going to be, the last stitch is going to be a single crochet, and we don't want that. So once you have your last stitch, which is a double crochet, you're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 2. Row 2, you begin with a single crochet followed by a double crochet, then a single, a double, and we already know the drill. Repeat the alternate stitches to the end of the row and work a total of 4. I'll work a total of 4 and then come back and measure and see whether we're going to need to work an increase in order to hit our hip measurements for the back panel. I'm done with the 4 rows on the back part, and we're going to measure these now to see the inches we have right there. So without stretching, I'm at 13. When I stretch, I get to 15 inches. Remember, we are going up to 20, but there's an allowance for the edging, and the edging takes like an inch on each side. So my 15 plus 2 should get me to 17, meaning I only have 3 inches to increase in order to get to 20. So because I'm at 15, I want to increase until I get to 18. So chain 1 and turn to begin row 5. And row 5 is going to be an increase row. For an increase, we begin with a single crochet into the first stitch. Into the same stitch, place a double crochet. Into the same stitch, place a third stitch, which is a single crochet. Then the stitch that follows gets a double crochet, and alternate without increasing. We're only increasing on the ends, that is on this end and on the stitch on the other end. All the other stitches get just 1 stitch. So alternate, and let's meet at the end of this row to increase again. I'm in the last stitch, which gets a double crochet, and because we're increasing, we're placing a double crochet into the same stitch. We place a single crochet and then another stitch, which is the last double crochet. So we have 3 stitches on this end and 3 stitches on the other end. Chain 1 and turn. After increasing, the row that follows does not have an increase. So we start with a single crochet into the first stitch, a double crochet into the next, a single into the next, a double into the next, and keep going to the end without increasing. At the end, make sure that you don't miss any stitch, and make sure that you don't increase in this row. So we have the single crochet, we have a double crochet, there's a single crochet right here, and there's a last stitch that should be a double crochet right here. The last double crochet. Now I'm going to measure again, see whether after that increase I've gotten to 18. Stretch it. I'm at 16 now, so I'll need to increase next. So after not increasing, chain 1, and the next row is going to be an increase row. Start with a single crochet, followed by a double crochet into the same stitch, followed by another single crochet for a third stitch. Then work normally till you get into the last stitch. The last stitch will get a double crochet, a single crochet, and a double crochet. Then the row that follows will be a row of no increase. I'll work my row 6. This is row 7 actually. I'm working row 7, so I'll work row 7 and increase at the end. Then I'll work row 8 without an increase, and I'll meet you back here to measure and confirm our measurements at that point. I'm done with row 8, the row without an increase, and we're going to measure again. I want to get to 18, so from this point, measure while stretching, and as you can see, after I've given this a good stretch, not too much, a bit of a stretch that is, As you can see, I'm getting to 18. And I want to continue increasing. I've hit my hip measurement, my back hip measurement. If you haven't hit yours, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and then you'll start with an increase in row 9, no increase in row 10. Increase till you get whatever measurement you want here. But now, because I've hit my hip measurement, I'll just work all the rows the same way, with starting with a, I'm working all my rows the same way, starting with a single crochet, followed by a double crochet, followed by a single crochet, a double crochet, and make sure my last stitch is a double crochet. My first stitch should always be a single crochet, and I'm going to work a total number of rows that the same number of rows as the ones that I worked on the front panel, that is beginning from the waist part. So I'll count the number of rows that I worked for my front panel, and then work the same number of rows in my back panel. Now this is easy. Once you've hit your hip measurement, then everything else is very easy. You're just going to work alternate double crochet and single crochet. And I'll meet you once I'm done with my back panel. Then we'll do the edging, and I'll show you how to complete the project. After 68 rows, I'm done with the back panel, and this is what I have. I've also gone ahead to do the edging of the back panel exactly the same way we did the first one. So if you cannot remember how we did the edging, rewind the video back to the part where we did the edging for the front panel, and then do your back panel edging. And this is what you're going to have. Next, we're going to do straps that we're going to attach on the sides, that is on this part and on this other part. Now you'll need to do a strap that is long enough to fit into the gaps that we have while crisscrossed. I'll do a strap of up to 350 chains, and then we're going to check whether it fits. To do the chain, I'm going to double up the strands. That is, I'll be using 2 strands of the yarn because I want a thicker straps. Then start with a slip knot and begin chaining. This is the normal chaining. I'm going to chain 350 chains. The number of chains that you chain depends on the length of your dress. If your dress is too long, then you might need to do more chains. If your dress is a bit short, then you might be fewer chains might work for you. That is between 250 and 350, or 250 and 400 could work. So go on, make a chain. I have my chain ready, and now we're going to attach it. So turn your dress like this to one side where there's that gap. Then we're going to grab the hook, and on these stitches that are right here, we're going to determine the middle stitch right here and put the hook through, then grab the strap and pull it through. Then you're going to pull and ensure that you have 2 equal sides of the straps. Just like this. Then you're going to start crisscrossing the strap. Onto the first gap on one side, put the strap through one end of it, and then the other end onto the other side on the first opening or the first gap. Then crisscross them, the 2 ends, get the next gap and put your strap through. Then the other end on the other side, crisscross the 2, then continue strapping it onto those gaps that you created with the edging. And you're going to strap it all the way down. we have the last gap right there. So do the crisscross, put your strap through and through to the other side. Then we're going to tie a knot at that point. Then that strap is in place, so what's remaining is to attach the strap on this other side and weave in all the tails. As for the strap, to cut these ends, I tie a knot at the end of the strap. Make sure the knot is very close to the stitches and then tighten it. After that, I'll get my pair of scissors and cut at this point. Cut. Not too close. I think I cut mine too close, but don't cut it too close because it might unravel. Do a knot on the other side that is very close to the stitches and make it tight, then cut. Now I'll go on, attach the strap on the other side, weave in all my tails, and then I'll show you the final product or the final look on this dress.